Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of Mom Talk.
Here we are.
I'm
again.
Jen, and
I'm Tanya.
I'm drinking decaf Earl Grey tea tonight.
I have a Folgers caramel drizzle coffee, and it's caffeinated. Ooh. It's late too. What time is it? Like 9?
I don't know. 8:30. Yeah.
Yeah, we're still good.
We're supposed to say not a sponsor, I was told.
I'm not sponsored by anything.
No, we're not
looking for sponsors. No, just
joking. Anyways, well, we had a great week last week. We were blown away by the response of our first video.
Yeah.
Last time I looked, it was like 700 views, I think.
Yeah, and we kind of felt like we didn't really talk about a lot, which was interesting, but it was really cool feedback because it was just moms being like, yeah, thanks, like...
It's encouragement, and that was really great because that's exactly what we wanted to do. We want you to feel like you are on the couch with us, just hanging out, and so that was really cool. And I know in like the grand scheme of like the internet world, 700 views is not a lot, but for two little,
it's more than our moms watching. It's more than just my mom and her mom and maybe my grandma because she watches everything. Was
really cool. Another thing that I thought was really cool was we started inviting people to like the page that we created on Facebook, and people started liking it and joining right away.
Which is really cool.
It is really cool. And I was saying to Tanya that I know that sometimes I don't jump into things right away. And so people might invite me to like their page, and I might sit on it for a day or two and think about it, which is okay. It's perfectly fine. That's just kind of what I do. And when I noticed that people started liking the page right away, it was so encouraging. And so we want to thank you for joining us, and we hope that you enjoy just hanging out with us today.
And we're looking for, like, if you have topics that you would like us to discuss. We are absolutely not professionals, and we're very real, and here we are. It is what it is. I said to Jen before we started, I'm feeling very cloudy in my head today, so the words may not come out well. But yeah, we're here and we want to hear from you. So if you have topics that you want us to discuss, then we would love to be able to go forward with that, see what happens.
Keep things interesting so you don't talk about the same things all the time.
Yeah.
All right, so you've got something to start us off with.
So, I know I hadn't told you yet, but I had sent my teacher, no, that's not correct. Cadence, my daughter, I had sent her teacher an email, and Cadence has some unique needs, and so at the beginning of the year I was like, okay, like let's start this relationship, send off a letter, and didn't hear anything back. And like I sent off another email, didn't hear anything back.
And as a teacher, I'm like horrified hearing this.
And I'm trying to like not be one of those annoying parents that like emails over everything, but I'm like, like I need to have a connection there, and my daughter needs some supports in place, so I just wanted to make sure. So that was September. It is now January, and
it's March.
In January, I realized that I had the wrong email address. It was with her maiden name, and so come to find out, when you email this teacher, she actually responds relatively quickly. And so she's responded a few times to my emails, and then we actually talked on the phone this week.
Oh, nice.
So it was really nice, and it was really good to hear from her. And I don't know about other people, but when you have a kid with unique needs, you really hope that teacher like has a soft spot in their heart for that child.
You've got to love
because there's challenges, and it's hard. And so it was really nice to talk to her and hear that she values and sees Cadence for who she is, and that was just a really, really cool time, and strategies in place for things that were happening and concerned about. And so and Cadence came home today. One thing that's interesting right now with COVID is they're doing lunch and snacks every other row. So this row was supposed to eat, and then they're supposed to put away their stuff, and then this row was supposed to eat. And Cadence I love her, but she gets distracted and she's chatting and
And
playing with
confused.
Pokemon.
Is it your turn? Is it not?
Exactly. And so she's like, I don't know what's happening. And people are like, no, it's your turn. No, it's not. And so it was stressful. And then she was coming home with a full lunch. And then Cadence is like my husband, who they don't get hungry. They don't feel hunger. So it comes out in emotions and headache. And so I have this crying daughter who doesn't know what's going on, but it's because she's hungry. So it's really nice to have like little strategies in place to be able to prevent the emotional breakdown after school. So that was really encouraging.
So you were able to fix that with the phone call?
Yeah, and Cadence came home today and said that they came up with a strategy to help Cadence know when to eat. And
That's awesome.
so she ate more in her lunch today. So yeah, so it's really good.
That's good. That's really good.
Right email. Get the right email address.
It makes a big deal, right?
It's very helpful.
That's what I know.
Very helpful.
My dad was trying to send an e-transfer to somebody, and he was like terrified because he was like, if I put the wrong email address in and they're set up for auto deposit, the money's gone. Like, getting your email address.
Mm-hmm. I've actually sent the wrong e-transfer to a wrong email, but they had not auto deposit, and I was able to cancel it before it went through.
Good.
And I was just, it wasn't even a lot. Like, it was like $30, but it's still like, $30.
Lost, right? Did you, like when I was in 4th grade, I got my first email address and I made it something like, I don't know, dumb blonde or something like that. Did you ever have any stupid email addresses?
I don't know. I don't think so. We didn't have internet for a very long time.
So we the school had a thing at Queen's University, and so I remember we were at MacArthur College, and we were like in this computer lab, which doesn't exist anymore because nobody has computer labs. And I remember sitting there with like my classmates, and we were doing something at the school, and I was like, I'm gonna sign myself up for an email address. So I was like 4th, maybe older than 4th grade, maybe maybe 7th, but still, I was like, I don't know what to come up with, so I made it that, and it didn't last very long, and I was like, I don't want to tell people that this is my email address, so I definitely changed it to something more reasonable.
I feel like my first email address was is my current personal email address, and I made that as a teenager, so like when I was about 16. So as far as I remember, but I'm a strong forgetter, so who knows? And your voice sounds very sexy, raspy, nice there going on.
Oh yeah,
still dealing with the cough,
the post-COVID cough, which is getting worse. It's very frustrating. So
I just want people to know that you don't normally have that deep, low.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's really coming out. But I tested negative this morning, so
that's what it is.
No COVID. No COVID, take 2, just a cough.
It's true. Oh, there's a little bit of the...
Sorry, guys.
There's a little bit of the cough.
So last week I talked about the 8 steps that we are going to be trying with my youngest son.
Yeah.
Trying to help him kind of gain control over his behavior. So last week we were focusing...
What's the book called again?
Taking Charge of ADHD.
Okay.
By somebody Berkeley, I think the last name was. Russell Berkeley.
And now your son hasn't been diagnosed with ADHD, but the older siblings have been diagnosed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of red flags that will probably be in his future in the next couple of years.
Last week we were focusing on one-on-one playtime with him and just kind of encouraging him and observing what great things he was doing. This week, step 2 is giving him small, attainable tasks that he needs to complete.
Cool.
Very simple things like, can you hand me that pencil?
And then praising him for it.
And then praising like crazy over these little steps, things that can be accomplished very quickly.
Yeah.
They talk about kind of doing a training session where you're like taking 20 minutes to just, not like bang, 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 but like in that 20 minutes you're focusing on interrupting him to...
That's a good idea, because it's not, sometimes you start out the day thinking, okay, this is what we're going to do, and then it's bedtime and you're like, man. So it's like, for sure, setting that alarm. And sorry, did you say what last week's was? Which I thought was really good, about spending 20 minutes
playing.
Yes. Okay, you did say that, because my brain went a little bit,
That's okay.
So
that's okay. Yes.
No, that's really, really cool. And I liked how you said you were only reading that week. So she didn't read the whole entire 8-week program. It's just reading that week and go one by one. So I really think that's good. And also not as overwhelming.
Yes,
to be
especially
like,
since it's like they really want you to kind of build and master what you're doing so that it kind of becomes second nature before you move on.
Yeah.
And I just felt like if I have the whole big picture in my head, I'll never be able to, like, I won't be able to skip. Or, like, I'll only want to skip, right?
Yeah.
So, just
like,
doing
skip to 8 week. Yes, I did it. Oh, wait, I missed all the other steps.
No, but I'm seeing, like, huge immediate differences in him already just from the play.
Really cool.
We've only just started the small little tasks, but what's really cool is that because they're so attainable, he's able to do them really quickly and get them done, and he feels good to like be helpful, right? And he always wants to be helpful. He's 3, right? He wants to be helpful.
That shake was not an earthquake. It was my foot hitting the webcam, just to let everyone know that.
We're super professional here.
Not an earthquake.
Not an earthquake.
We are real. Did we say that? Yeah, we are real. It's speaking of like all of those things, I was talking with a lady this week and just the mom guilt and thinking of like you start a program, say for this 8-week thing.
Which I'll be surprised if I do it in 8 weeks.
Or like if you get to week 4 and then you miss 2 weeks, or you're stuck on week 2 or something like that. And it just having grace with ourselves that is okay. And that's hard for me as well. But like mom guilt is huge. And I think it's really
guilt in general.
It is. I think it's really important to like encourage and uplift each other. I remember, so I struggle with depression and anxiety. And when my husband and I were first married, and I was first coming to terms with that this is what I'm dealing with, because my kind of bandages of like at home and like being supported by my parents and different things like that were gone because we were married, we had moved away. And so one thing, we were making gingerbread house at Christmas time, and we ran out of icing. And now this probably sounds really silly for people, but we ran out of icing. And so I tried to make icing from icing sugar, and I made it too watery, and it didn't work. And I got so upset with myself that I had to leave it and go to bed. And so then Brian's in the kitchen, like making this gingerbread house. Yeah. And then another time, like up north, I was baking cookies and they burnt. And I was so upset with myself that I just went to bed. Like I couldn't, that like flight, right? I just couldn't handle that disappointment. And I was telling my counselor about it. And she said, like, we don't tell the mess ups very often. So, like, we're not at the water cooler or having coffee, typically. We tend to, but having coffee and being like, hey, do you remember that time I burned all those cookies and I had to throw them out? Or, like, do you remember that time that the vacuum sucked up the curtain? Like, those things that happened all the time to me. Like, sucked up the thing and the whole thing fell down. Like, we don't say those things. And I think it's important to have a balance of, like, what we mess up with and don't do or miss the mark a little bit and be okay with that, because it puts other people at ease. So we sat in front of the TV and had supper tonight because we didn't make it to the table and set the table, and just like I know myself, I put enough guilt and pressure on myself, not alone what I'm thinking other people and the expectations. And I think that's something that as moms, we always need to try to battle and encourage each other that we don't have it all together, and that's okay. And to try to, like, we want what's best for our kids, absolutely, but we're not perfect. We're human, right? And we support each other.
That one step at a time, and any little success that you get, like, we have to hold on to that.
Yeah.
Because we're all, like, I don't know, Scott and I were reading a thing, we have like an app called, I think it's called Parenting Well in Love or something, Being in Love While Parenting, I don't remember. He sent it to me, but it's actually really cool. It's got like little video courses, then you take a little question right after watching the video, teaching you about, right now we're talking about like kind of happiness, and so we're talking, I've been learning about, and I can't even think of what's the dopamine? is the like immediate
Yes.
happiness,
Yeah.
and how like the more we search for dopamine and immediate happiness, actually it's counterproductive because the long-term happiness isn't it actually, the more you seek
Right.
dopamine, the less long-term happiness
Right.
you have.
Yeah.
And
It's interesting.
I think the second one was on I don't remember.
On what?
I was going to say cortisone, but that's not right. Cortisol? No, that's still not right. I don't remember the name. But there's another like chemical that's released.
Yep.
That's more long term. No, this wasn't the long term. This is released, and it causes stress, and it happens when you're like sarcastic with your kids, or there's any sense of.
I'm sarcastic a lot.
I know, me too. It's really that was really stressful for me, and like so sarcasm, yelling, any unpredictable things can cause this chemical, which is a natural occurring chemical in everybody. But the more that the kids feel like things aren't stable, the more like they're just on edge waiting for what's going to happen. And so this is like this chemical is being released in your brain all the time. But anyways, it just hit me really hard because I was like, wow, like the impact of my sarcasm or yelling can be much more impactful than I really realized. And so like Scott and I were talking about trying to like reduce the yelling and reduce the sarcasm. And as soon as you acknowledge that's what you want to do, now you're super aware of every time you yell and every time you use sarcasm. And it's
hard with the guilt. So putting that guilt on yourself, but then also being like, okay, we try one little bit and every day's a new day. And
just like, I feel like sometimes just being aware is the first step, right? And if it takes me 3 months to make an improvement, at least I'm being aware and I'm trying. And so I think that's just interesting that like acknowledging our weaknesses, but then just holding on to any little celebration of good thing that you can, because we're such a fallen, broken people, right? And so we are going to mess up a lot
for sure. So things are starting to open up a little bit around here, and talking about passports not having, like, you don't need to show your passports for different places, possibly masks, like not.
I know there's rumors
that like the masks are going away, but we're not quite sure with that.
Quebec is talking about that, and my principal looked into it, and she was saying that they're making it sound like masks are just going to go away.
I can't see that happen.
But what they're actually doing is that kids will wear masks to their desks, and then they can take them off at their desks.
Well, that's kinders. Well, they don't have to wear them on the buses, I guess. The kids came home today and said that they don't have to wear masks on the buses. None of the kids,
or just the kinders?
Well, the kinders, I thought, but Cadence was the one who said it, and she's not in kindergarten.
Wow.
So I'm not entirely sure. And outside as well, that they don't have to outside now, which is really nice. Except that what the handiest part is having a mask on in the winter outside, because it like, oh, that's warmer. But
except for when you come back in, then it's really wet.
Yeah,
it's really wet. I replace a lot of masks in the afternoon when they come back in.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's interesting though, different feelings. So like my daughter's birthday is this weekend, and so the vaccine passport is being lifted starting tomorrow, probably today for you if you're watching on Tuesday. And so this idea of being able to have, like, there's no limits on the amount of people who can sit at the table, and this idea of like having a birthday party. And so it's interesting because my mind, I'm like exhausted and still recovering from COVID, and I'm heading into at my school, we have 3 terms, so we're ending the second term in the next 2 weeks, which means like the next 2 weeks is assessments and marking and report cards and like, and so I was thinking of just ignoring my daughter's birthday, like we've done for the last 2 years, and then I thought,
with the excuse of COVID,
yes, of course we've acknowledged her birthday. But, so anyways, I emailed a local, little restaurant place, it's a tea house, to see about having some girls go from the school, and, they emailed back, and we can do that. And I started getting kind of like, okay, we're going to a restaurant now. We haven't been to a restaurant in like forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's just interesting feelings, like kind of excitement, but anxiety over going to this restaurant. Yeah. And then I was like, I guess I need to like tell people that I want them to come. So that I messaged those parents and was like, do you want to send your kid on Saturday to the tea house? And started getting yeses. And I was like, we have a birthday party. I'm like, whoa, it's just like the weirdest feeling, because now I'm like feeling anxious, but kind of excited, but kind of like, this is weird. Like, what do you do when you go to a restaurant? Like, I haven't been in a restaurant in so long. It's
I think it's bringing out a lot of emotions
weird
in people
feelings.
Of just like, we've been like longing for the time when COVID is over, but it's still not really over.
No.
And everyone has their own different views and opinions on it. So there's that stress of like, if we do slacken things, how will that affect? And
it's going to cause a lot of anxiety, I think, in people.
I agree. But
I really hope that what we see as a normal is that some people will wear masks, and that's cool, and some people won't wear masks, and that's cool. Yeah. I really hope that people are just kind of really accepting. Like, for example, I'm probably going to wear a mask. I hate wearing a mask, but as long as my voice is like this and I have a cough, I think it's important that like I respect other people and wear a mask. And
I definitely think there'll be more sensitivity when people are sick or have colds or whatever.
I hope so.
To wear a mask.
I hope that we've just kind of learned to like be considerate.
But it will be really nice to see faces again. I think that's really important. And for kids to recognize body language of other people and stuff, I think that the butterfly effect of COVID in like mental health and socially, I think is going to affect us for a lot of years, sadly. We've already had generations that are removing themselves and going to social media and all of that more so than interacting and having a conversation with somebody. And I think that, unfortunately, that will further that.
I don't think I told you, I had a couple of students on the snow day last week. I started talking about March break coming up, and they started getting depressed and really upset about March break. And I was like, why are you so upset? The last 2 years in a row, they haven't come back to school after March break.
That's true. I didn't think of that.
And so they were starting to feel really anxious about the idea of going off on break and never coming back.
Good for them to recognize that. That's really,
I
hadn't thought of that.
I hadn't either. I was really glad it came up, so I shared it with the other teachers, because I said, you might actually start to see some other kids start to feel anxious heading towards March break, because they're going to be thinking we're heading into online learning and we're not going to see our friends until June. And like,
well, and it's the aspect of you have a break, but we've had lots of breaks. It's felt like, right?
Yes.
And so, or like if you've come out of isolation and now that's another week and stuff, so that can be tricky. But our time is going like crazy today.
So
it's
fast.
like, it's a lot. So I wanted to do sort of like a game thing at the end. Okay, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm excited. Okay, so we're going to do 2 truths and a lie, but like looking at the positive. So like 2 things that were positive today that happened, and 1 still a positive thing, but that's not the truth.
Okay? I can do that.
Okay.
Are you going first or am I?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Don't look.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So my 3 statements, my positive things, is 1, my kids got ready really well this morning. And wasn't yelling and stuff. 2, I was thankful to get everything done I needed to get done at work. And 3, my mom brought us supper tonight, so I didn't have to cook.
I think you did not get everything done at work.
I tricked her. Okay, so yes, I always have a million things to do at work, and I didn't accomplish all of that, but I actually got more accomplished today than I was expecting to.
Oh, yay.
So that was actually really good.
So did your mom bring you supper?
No.
Come on, Mom.
No, she did not. But also a good thing that the kids got ready this morning,
awesome.
which is nice because I didn't sleep well and I was up at like 4 and I still like this COVID lasting, still have a bit of sinusy thing. So I was like, oh, I can't sleep. Maybe I'll take an Neocitrin and that will settle things down. I did not realize that it was after 6 a.m. and I took a nighttime Neocitrin. So my morning was a little interesting. So
no wonder you have brain fog.
Maybe.
your body's like, what time of day is it?
Yes. But a miracle that I still got more than I wanted to accomplish at work. Not wanted to, but
maybe the trick is to always take
so I can just be a little fuzzy and get through the day, or I just don't remember the stuff that I needed to get done.
Yeah, you're gonna go in tomorrow and be like,
I didn't do anything. I just sat at the computer all day. Okay, your turn.
My turn. So, I forgot what I was gonna say now.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Oh, good.
So,
here we go.
My students got most everybody got all of their bookwork done and complete.
We like getting tasks done.
Yeah. Someone brought me a coffee, and I don't remember what the third thing was.
Which is probably the non-truth.
My husband cooked a delicious supper.
Oh, that's hard because there's food upstairs. We're at your house. And I took a bite and it was pretty good. I'm going to say, okay, this is also tricky because we work in the same building. But I wasn't there in the afternoon. I'm going to say somebody did not bring you a coffee.
Nobody brought me a coffee.
So that was it?
Yeah.
Yay, I got it.
No, actually, this was like the best Monday I've had in a really long time. Mondays are my rough day because I have yard duty, and so that means I don't get to mark books during recess. And
do you notice that I was more excited that I got it right than actually saying like, "Oh, that's too bad you didn't get a coffee." I was like, "Yes, I won."
That's okay. We can make it competitive. Yeah, no, I felt really good today. Good. That it was a good Monday. So I hope that you guys have had a good day and
good Monday. And thank you for watching. And yeah,
hopefully we'll see you next time for episode 3. And let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about. So
absolutely.
You can ask us questions about us or whatever. So
all good.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.